Hello and welcome to the Alpha Artists interview series, Bringing Fine Art into Your Home. I'm Renata Tom, co-founder of Alpha, the B2B art platform. This initiative highlights some of the most interesting artists that we have on our platform, and it's designed to inform and enlighten artists and collectors who can benefit from working with us. So our guest today is Piotr Krzymowski. You're gonna have to help me.
Of course. Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure and joy to be doing this interview remotely. I hope that one day we'll be able to join forces in real life and see each other. My name is Piotr Krzymowski, and I am a Polish artist based in London.
Perfect, Piotr. So let's jump right in. Can you tell us a little bit about your quarantine days? Like, how are you doing during those difficult times?
I have been isolating for the last 7 weeks in my flat in Mile End in East London, which fortunately for me is just across my studio. So I have been sneaking out, legally or not, that's debatable, but I have been sneaking out to my studio quite often, mainly to pick up some materials to work with. And usually the studio space, which is a shared space, is buzzing with people. And obviously now it's totally dead and quite uninviting. So I have been working from my flat, mainly on a new series of digital collages that are made of now it is my collection, but it used to belong to my dad. He doesn't know that I actually have these Polish Playboy magazines.
So let's not share this video with him.
No, we can censor it. I was particularly drawn to these magazines because in the 90s in post-Soviet countries like Poland, these magazines were a novelty, and they were offering a lifestyle which back then was not even available to the common reader. And they were also promising a certain idea of the future that was driven by technology. And technology, digital media, digital culture, the term technophoria, which is a promise that our human evolution is based purely on the development of electrical devices and the pleasures that we gain from them. All of these things are something that I have been looking at in my practice in the last couple of years. And you've been actually just scrolling through my exhibition at the Center of Contemporary Arts in Toruń, which I did last year. And it was my first solo exhibition on this scale. Actually, the pictures are on the other side. They're right at the beginning. So you may want to scroll to the left. Exactly.
Let's go back there.
And I was showing their multiple works as I was offered a space much bigger than I initially expected. So this is actually a series of photographs using the hashtag symbol. These photographs were taken by random passersby that I would approach on the street. I would choose the background, which usually was a very hashtagable location or situation. And all of these strangers, usually people of young age that are not used to analog technology, would be rather confused taking these pictures, wanting to see immediate results on the screen on the non-existing screens of my old analog Zenit camera. And that series was about bringing back the ritual of photography, which is something that I remember from my early days. I remember being given this old Zenit.
Like a sense of nostalgia almost, like to use film.
Definitely. I had a very nostalgic and romantic approach in that series of works, reminding us, and particularly the generation that is illiterate with analog technology, reminding them about what it once was.
Yeah, I would love to know a little bit about your background, because like you started talking about a bit about your practice, some of your influences, but what was your trajectory? What led you to get to this point where bringing together like pop culture, like different mediums, and making it very contemporary, like at the same time?
So I was born in 1989. I remember the 90s without the internet. I remember running around the backyard of the flat
Same.
where I used to live in the north of Poland. Exactly. So you may know exactly what I'm talking about. I remember the era before mobile phones, the freedom that it gave.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess this is something that I always carry at the back of my mind. And I'm using very often modern technology in conjunction with analog practices or processes to combine both to create an image of the current reality, but having in mind this tradition that we all originate from.
Very, very interesting. And was there like a moment, a point of inflection, like in your career, personal life, that like changed like your practice, or like that like was like crucial for you to start doing what you're doing now that you just described, or that
So
was a bunch of different things? Like
it always is a bunch of different things that we often realize many years afterwards. But Manuela, you were just scrolling through the images of the burned 16mm film, which is a work that we will be hopefully showing at your platform. So these 16mm films were actually scraps left by the students at Central St. Martin's University, where I was until 2012. And I remember, I think it's on another page, on your Alphas page.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. These film prints. So we are actually looking at 16mm film that was boiled in hot water and totally destroyed, erased from its original image. As a result, we see these compositions of shapes and colors, quite random. And I was making this work at the time when 16mm film was becoming really obsolete as a medium. They were literally closing all the film labs in Soho in London. They stopped teaching it at St. Martin's. And I guess I was one of the last years to be experiencing this technology. And I guess that experience made me realize how quickly technology is changing. It made me realize that perhaps it's time to reflect on current technologies, on current speed of electronic media, on the speed of the internet that highly exceeds what our body and mind can do.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that was the turning point. So this is one of the last series of works that touch on purely old technologies.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. And I think getting that hook about technology, like, and what would you say, like, what do you imagine the future looks like for you as an artist, and maybe like a bit of like the art market, you know, because like we're definitely going like through like a very intense transformation right now, like all of us, and we are seeing like a lot more value in the use of technological tools like the one we're using right now, into continuing to develop our work, being inspired, like being connected. And I think I'm sure that like you as an artist and someone who already like makes use of like different technologies to do your work, like you must be having a lot of thoughts about it.
Sometimes too many thoughts, but
Yeah.
there are two quotes which I would like to bring into conversation that I have used in the past, and I've been continuously using since I actually read these quotes in some of the books I was reading. One quote is, "The future loves us but doesn't need us," and
Mm-hmm.
I think it's pretty accurate if you think about how we are fueling data into these winner take all giants like Amazon or Google. They exist because of the users. They exist because of us. They learn about how to be better, richer, and greater because of the mistakes that we make or because of the decisions that we make. So I think the future, I mean, we already need less human force than before. A lot of jobs are replaced with algorithms. A lot of jobs are replaced with new technologies, and I think this will be even getting worse on a quicker and larger scale. Another quote is, "I miss the future," and that actually ties in really nicely with these collages that I have been making recently from the Playboy magazines. And when the internet was invented and fully operational in the early 90s, we were using it, and it was always putting us in the first place. It enabled us to discover the world. It enabled us to be connected. It was quite friendly for the humans. Now, with the era of big data, algorithms, self-driving cars replacing human drivers, that is definitely changing. And again, it's a nostalgic approach. I miss a certain vision of the future that technology was promising at the very early stage of its existence.
Yeah, what we used to think it would be and what it actually became.
It certainly ended up in a different place.
Very different. I have to agree with that. So, like, we're approaching the end. It's a short interview, unfortunately, but we always end up asking very quick response questions, like about like things that like are inspiring to you, like, so maybe like a book that you've read recently, like, or a movie, or can you talk a little bit about this? Can you give us a recommendation?
Sure, there is a book that I just finished reading, and I have to remind myself, I know the title. The title is "The Internet is Not the Answer," and it certainly is
Okay.
not. And I'm pretty sure it was written by Nicholas Carr. Is not the answer. You see, we are using multiple technologies as we speak.
Yeah.
No, sorry, it was written by Andrew King. Nicholas Carr wrote a different book, which I think I may be reading at the moment. I'm so bad with names. Sorry, Nicholas.
I don't have a memory either, so live in the present.
Nicholas Carr book. That's the one. I just started reading The Shallows, and the subtitle reads, How the Internet is Changing the Way We Think, Read, and Remember. And it certainly is. The book opens with this observation that our attention span is much shorter and we expect immediate answers. We read less physical books. We reach out for our phone every 6.5 minutes, according to the statistics. We touch it up to 5,600 times a day. I actually made another work based on that when I was scanning the fingerprints of my fingers from the screen of my phone. So yeah, these are the last two
I've
books
seen that.
These are the last two books that I have read, and that certainly influenced what I do and the way I think.
Very cool. I would definitely buy one of those books, that book that you just recommended. I've been crazy with like internet shopping, like for books in specific.
I'm sure it will come
Piotr,
automatically in the suggestions the next time you open Amazon, because Amazon always listens. If not
it's
Amazon, then Siri.
listening. Someone is definitely listening. Yeah, no privacy. Well,
No,
Piotr,
not
thank you so
anymore.
much. It has been wonderful learning a little bit more about your work from you. We knew some about the previous conversations and like things that I've read, but it's always a lot more interesting when we hear from the author, like, or the
I'm very
creator.
glad to hear that, Renata, and so nice to see your face, and so nice to see you, Manuela, too. As I
Yeah,
mentioned earlier, I hope one day we'll be able to see each other in real life.
absolutely. We'll be in London hopefully soon, like whatever soon means those days. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Piotr. And you know, we were preparing to roll out the platform in Europe now. And we were
Great.
supposed to be there for the beginning of the year, but you know, since things changed so quickly, we're gonna have to roll out remotely. So we're very happy to have you as one of our first European artists interviews.
Pleasure.
Yeah, no, absolutely.